Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the office or the studio or wherever I am today. Today, on episode 3 of Legacy and Legends, I'd like to introduce you to an author, an inventor. He also has a PhD in geochemistry and volcanology. He is a teacher. He is the chair of our Safe Association's Pacific Rim chapter. He is a person that I've known for about 20 years, and he never stops. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Robert Yonover.
Doc, who are you and what do you do?
Very good. Dr. Rob Yonover. I started Sea Rescue Streamer. It's a locating device for people when they're lost at sea or on land, and been approved by all branches of the military. It's used worldwide. It's saved some lives already. It's even on SpaceX.
SpaceX?
Yep.
Whoa.
It's under the ass of every astronaut.
Okay. Well, cool. How did you get into this world?
Well, I'm a big wave surfer from Hawaii. I work on volcanoes, and I always seem to be on the edge of dying. So when I'm on the edge of dying, I think about contingencies, what could happen. Flying in a single engine plane in Hawaii, looking down at all that water going, if I go down, smoke, flare, and die are going to go away. It kept bothering me. And a few weeks later, I flew to Florida and saw Christo, the artist. He'd wrapped the islands in pink plastic. I said, if I could just get a piece of that pink plastic. Pink plastic became orange plastic. And it gave a long orange tail of plastic with struts in it, spreader bars, so it won't twist up. And that's how I got into it. And before that, and then I actually connected with an inventor of the smoke in the cockpit system in Hawaii while I was finishing my PhD. And he kind of taught me what to do and what not to do in this world.
Okay.
And one of the things he told me not to do is yell at the FAA or the American Airlines when they don't do what he wants.
You're right.
Didn't do that. But I got into R&D world, and the military was the obvious place because you guys want to be safe. You have to be safe.
Yes.
You're mandated to be safe.
Yes.
In the civilian world, they'd rather buy a 6-pack of beer than
Yeah.
the piece of safety technology.
Pretty much.
And then I fell into the safe world through Chief Darter. You remember Chief Darter?
I do. Absolutely.
And ironically, the Air Force is the safest of all, and you guys have a career track to be safe.
Yeah.
So I really like that. So you guys were all about being safe. It's professionals work to be safe, and the Safe Association is a bigger version of that for the whole world.
It is.
So I've been part of that for 25, 30 years.
So you're also, talking about safe, you're also the president or chair for our chapter.
Right. Pacific Rim chapter in Hawaii. We're a small chapter, but our big emphasis is education outreach. So we go out to schools, anywhere from kindergarten to college age to senior citizen, talking about innovation and entrepreneurship. And it's great. I share some of my knowledge and see what the kids have to think about, and trying to get them off their phones and thinking about actually getting their hands dirty and trying to invent something.
You know, we have been friends for I don't know how many years, but it's been a long time.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've always loved about you is how you share your stories and share the information, because it's a journey, right? It's about relationships as well. And you've taught me that, and you've kindled that statement going, how are we going to do it and why and where? So one of the things I'd like to ask you is, you've invented something, you've got it approved in the Air Force, and now you've got a bunch of folks out there called Aircrew Flight Equipment celebrating their 70th anniversary this week, right? So one of the things is, what would you like to tell one of those young airmen or one of those young NCOs about those good ideas? We used to kid about the good idea fairy.
Right.
Well, you're the king of the good idea fairies. You come up with a lot of the cool things.
Thank you.
And you're an author, you're an inventor. I mean, share that story.
Well, it's all about perseverance. Everyone's going to put you down for your idea, and you got to keep going. And also, crowdsourcing is the new thing. That's the buzzword. And I keep bouncing my things off people, especially once they're protected. Ideally, you patent them. But to see if there's a market for it, see how people receive those ideas, and not necessarily believe what they say, but just get enough input to where you make your decision whether it's worth your time to pursue. And the other thing I tell people all the time is don't quit your day job so you can quit your day job. So you look at a week is 168 hours, sleep for 40, work for 40, that's still like 80 left. So you have plenty of time, nights and weekends, if you have a 9 to 5, to work on your invention or your book, whatever it is, and keep getting it out there and find your niche of a market. That's the other thing. People try to invent something that's too broad. It's better to find something that fits a market that will be receptive to it. And that's important. And the other thing is to protect your margins. And don't invent something that costs 100 to make and you can sell for 101. That makes no sense.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
Right. So that's really important. People don't think about that. The other thing people don't think about, and what I was fortunate to do, is to invent something that's small. So shipping and storage is simple. One of my latest ideas, it's actually failed at this point, is a water bike that you pedal and it flaps a fin. It's really cool. But when I started thinking about it, where am I going to put them? If I build 100 of those, I need a warehouse this big.
Yeah.
And I can't mail it for $10 in the mail.
No.
So those are like non-starters for me. So the ideal thing is to invent something this big that costs you $1 to make that you can sell for $5.
So, I've watched you grow and watched you invent. I've watched you lead and teach. But what's it like to be on Shark Tank? Because, one of the things about you took it to, you took the challenge,
Yes.
and you threw it out there and you were bold. And a lot of folks don't understand what that, you're going to take the risk. You're going to put the pressure on. So what was Shark Tank like?
Okay,
And
well,
what it was
first
meant
you
for
can't be afraid to fail. And, that was the massive risk. Because I'm up against 9 million people on TV,
Yep.
the 5 sharks. They're trying to make you look like an idiot. They're trying to make you, they're trying to be funny and they're trying to look smart.
Yep.
They don't want you to look anything but stupid and maybe be greedy and try to get your money. But it was an amazing process. It was an open casting call in Hawaii. I stood in line at 5 in the morning and just kept, jumping through the hoops. And I knew I was a fairly mature technology at that point, but I knew what they were looking for. First of all, it's a TV show. So you have to have a good backstory.
Yeah.
You have to something visual. You have to be comfortable talking about it. You have to have passion, which I have about it. So you can't just be, oh yeah, here's my idea. No. You need a great backstory. You need a great idea. Saves lives, patents, sold, all these things. It's a package. And then you got to go in there gangbusters, be passionate about it, and not be afraid to go put it out there. And it's definitely a risk, and it's a lot of pressure. I mean, it was for real. I was in there for an hour, and what you see is 7 minutes, what they cut it down to.
Wow.
So it's,
It's intense.
it's totally intense. The thing they don't talk about is you have to do a stare down. So it's like a prize fight. If they want to get your reaction looking at each shark, I'll have to look at Mark Cuban and Damon and Mr. Wonderful. So it's pretty psychologically daunting, really. And I talked to some of the people after, and it was, they got made fun of, and it was just horrible. They didn't even let you off set until you speak to a psychologist to make sure you're okay with it. So, and the other thing is just to practice. I've pitched so many times. And the other thing is no one knows it as well as you, but that doesn't mean you don't need to practice it. So I practiced my pitch forever, and one of the things I had a problem with is they tried to make me memorize. I don't like to memorize.
No.
I want to talk about what I know and what's on top of mind. And in the preview, when I talked to the producers, one of the second to last steps before you go on front of the sharks is you got to pitch to all the producers. And they made me memorize, and it was a little clumsy. Then they asked me the questions, and they said, "We love the questions, but you're a little dry in the pitch." I go, "That's because they made me memorize it." And my producer looked at me. I said, "I told you." And she goes, "Say whatever you want." So they let the handcuffs off me, so I was free to pitch it and really connect with it.
I think that's the one thing I've always admired about you is if we get you in the right environment and you just hit it the way you be you,
Right.
everything, it flows.
Authentic, right?
Yeah.
That's what people want to connect.
But that's I think the backstory here is that authenticity that you've had for years about everything that you've done, and every challenge. That's the one thing I've admired of you. And when you walked in my desk many years ago, that was one of the things that I went, okay, I get it. But safe. If you had to sum up safe and summarize it to what that means to you, what is it?
Okay, it's people from all over the world, all walks of life, trying to save lives and being prideful of that and really being powered by that and working together. And I know we're all connected to militaries, but we're kind of on the other end.
Sure.
We're not trying to hurt people. We're trying to save people that get in trouble.
Yep.
And that to me is the highest thing you can go for. And in fact, the streamer saved a few people. And one of the guys thanked me, and that felt better. And I said this on Shark Tank. It felt better than all the money. Authentic.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I couldn't believe they didn't want to invest in it. I go, you don't want that feeling?
Yeah.
It's shocking. They're in the money more than saving lives. That's okay.
Doc, I greatly appreciate your time. I greatly
pleasure.
appreciate your mentorship. And it's always good. Aloha.
Of course.